Okay, so after a quick little tech intermission, we had to reset. Brendan, I'm gonna count you in. 3, 2, 1, go. Right there was a cool trick called TSS. It lets you skip the tutorial skipping animation and teleport straight to Marathon. And after teleport straight to Marathon, we go to GDS, which allows us to quit out and skip the leave sport cutscene. And after a hopefully fast marathon, depending on how the crabs are feeling today, we'll get to the next sport. Quick hit there, but nothing to be ashamed about in a full game run done live. A good strategy for this is to make sure you go in front of the crabs and behind the octopi due to hitboxes. After he quits out and teleports directly to rugby, he's now here in one of the faster sports. Now he picks his controller up after doing some GDS and starts headed toward the end of the zone by picking up all the lightning power-ups. After rugby's done, we go to the next sport, which is skateboarding. We have to watch this with an entry cutscene every time because there's no way to skip it, and then click through this short tutorial in order to perform GDS. Now, we can't do the jumping at all, and he got a very lucky spawn there with the... We got a very lucky spawn with the Tanuki, which allows us to very quickly get the 5,001 points needed in order to pass skateboarding. Although he does seem to be having a bit of a moment trying to get a fakie. Well, after a second hide and seek, he can rest easy knowing that he can safely get out of skateboarding. And for this next part, we kind of just sit around until the timer runs out, and then we'll be off to our next sport. This is clearly the most entertaining part of the run. The reason he sits perfectly still is because skateboarding is one of the laggiest sports, and moving around and trying to get more points would generate more lag, as a poorly optimized sport, trying to handle a bunch of things at once is not very good for the game. After skateboarding, we warp over to artistic swimming, a Dance Dance Revolution style minigame where you have to just simply hit the arrows. This one is also timed, so there's no way to speed it up. We just simply have to hit the arrows. Your score also doesn't matter too much as long as you don't miss, like, an incredible amount of arrows. The music for this entire game, including the artistic swimming segment, is designed by an artist named I'm gonna pronounce it Qmu. It's spelled Quumu. They do a few things on Spotify and other musical platforms, and they got reached out for help on music for this game, and they did a proper good job. After this, it's a quick warp to Archery, another one of our favorite time sports. GDS is a little harder here because we have to be holding down our confirm key. So now, instead of just simply pressing the button, he now has to move his mouse to the top and click the yellow circle with the triangle. This is kind of like the low percent category, because you have to be holding the button the entire time and just aligning yourself with the targets. This definitely adds some challenge to archery, as compared to a regular playthrough. The goal of this sport is to just simply hit as many targets and fans as possible. And if you change targets and fans together, it definitely helps improve your score because they multiply depending on how many things you hit. It's only a minute-long sport, and as progressing through that minute, Lucky and Yoichi get faster, but Lucky much more considerably. This is one of the other lacky sports in the game, as the explosions often do not help with that. Now after we skip that cutscene, we're off to table tennis. This sport can really be messed up by bad RNG. The Tengu, your opponent, throws balls at you, tennis balls at you, and you have to deflect them and find the right moment to use your power shot, a special ability that clears all of the balls and throws them to Tengu's side to get points. Also in this sport, we don't use the GDS because you have to use your confirm key for power shots. And using your confirm key while having GDS active freezes the sport. The timing for this mini-game is when you have 3 points and there's 2 balls on screen, you power shot. When you have 7 points and... am I remembering this right? When you have 7 points and there's 4 balls on screen, you power shot. When you have 18... I'm really struggling to remember. When you have 18 and there's... When you have 14 and there's 4, you also power shot to get 18. When you go up to 23 after that, and there's 7 on screen, you power shot. Now here's climbing. This is the climax of our run. One of these snowballs sets a runner back very far, as it sets them all the way down to the last collected lantern. As you see, when you get hit, the route doesn't really collect that many lanterns, so it's definitely a big drop. Most runners will do this in the middle of the route for reset efficiency. But EXDF likes to do it at the end, as it's one of the 2 sports that GDS cannot be used on. And now we wait through this sports cutscene, and as soon as that little frame outside of it disappears and reappears, that's time ending. So that was quite a good run for a live, and if anyone had a timer pulled up, what would that time be? An 8:20 run is very good for somebody just doing it live. Our world record is 7:40, but that's achieved by somebody who's incredibly good at the game. I believe Brendan's current place on the leaderboard for this category is 4th, with a sub 8-minute time. 8:20 is nothing to be ashamed of for a Warps Allowed one. And now, of course, he joins Team Blue, his favorite team. Good job, EXDF. And that concludes the run.